On behalf of the Saskatoon Industry Education Council, I welcome you to our Career Pathways panel. Thank you to RBC Future Launch for helping to power our Spotlight on Careers event. As we gather here today, we acknowledge we are on Treaty 6 territory and homeland of the Métis. We pay our respects to the First Nations and Métis ancestors of this place and reaffirm our relationship with one another. We want to welcome students, parents, and teachers from across Saskatchewan joining us today. As a registered nonprofit organization, the SIEC works in partnership with 3 school divisions and the Saskatoon Tribal Council, community-based organizations, government agencies, and employers to help nurture the workforce of tomorrow. Last year, we worked with over 30,000 youth, over 3,300 business and post-secondary representatives, and more than 450 educators and career practitioners. We host over 40 events and programs each year, including our Spotlight on Careers, which is a series of targeted events such as this that provide students with experiential learning opportunities. Our Skills Boot Camps, which provide students with hands-on experiences in various careers. Connected, a women mentorship program connecting females in grades 10 through 12 with mentors from a wide variety of sectors, as well as our Summer Youth Internship Program, which is a 6-week paid internship where students gain work experience in construction, manufacturing, automotive, and culinary industries. So students can earn competitive wages and high school credits throughout the summer. So be sure to visit our website or follow us on our socials to stay up to date. If you're not sure what you want to do after high school, we highly recommend attending a few of our events to discover what's involved in various career options. So we are going to get started with our panelists. So first up, we have Michael Q. He is a senior chemical engineer with NULIFE GreenTech. He received his bachelor's degree in chemical engineering from the University of Saskatchewan in 2014. Then Michael worked at a pipeline company based in Alberta. After working for 1 year, he realized renewable energy development will be a huge market. So in 2015, he went back to school for a master's degree and completed his Master's of Engineering. During the past 5 years, his work has focused upon developing innovative methods for producing renewable energy from landfill waste. His work over the past 5 years can be summarized as the following subjects: developing novel processes converting landfill waste to biodiesel and jet fuel, the development of biochar from waste byproducts, and the investigation into effectiveness of techniques and technologies for reducing carbon emissions. Michael also has authored several peer-reviewed articles on renewable fuels and has spoken at numerous conferences in the past. So please welcome Michael.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael, and today I want to talk about the topic with engineering your future. So I'll talk a little bit about my story. I graduated in University of Saskatchewan in 2014, and after graduate, I worked as a process operator in one of the pipeline company. Then during the working, I realized renewable energy will be one of the key factors in the near future. So after working for a year, I went back to school, back to UOS, take chemical engineering, but study renewable energy as one of my majors. So my career path will be, I didn't get an engineering job at the start, but upon working along the way, I become a chemical engineer. So what I'm doing right now, I work for a company called NULIFE GreenTech. And what we're doing is we are taking landfill waste and convert all those landfill waste to a renewable fuel. And all those fuels can be upgraded to transportation fuel and used in the vehicle. And how far I have come. So as an engineer, it is very exciting to be in this area. And here's a funny picture I want to show. So as an engineer, I work for a renewable energy company, and lots of my friends think what I do is I work in a refinery, so deal with big machines, deal with the refineries. However, what my mom think I do is probably saving the world. And you can see from the picture, the society, the government, and what I think I do. But in the real life, what I deal with is a lot of paperwork to review lots of stuff, and the design, the process. I guess that's what engineering do. We solve problems. And I'll give a little bit introduction about the company. So NULIFE GreenTech is established in 2016, and we are contributing converting to transportation fuel. And the technology we're using is called hydrothermal liquefaction, which it happens at high temperature and high pressure, which mimic what happening thousands of kilometers beneath us, which the petroleum oil formed like thousands years ago. However, with our technology, we're able to reduce this time to an hour. And why we're doing this, because with this technology, we are able to reduce the carbon emission and able to upgrade the renewable diesel. And by using this renewable diesel, we are able to reduce the carbon emission by 90%. By speaking of this, it's probably hard to imagine what we're dealing with. However, think about the food waste you create in the kitchen, banana peels, yard waste you're doing the lawn mower, any trees, leaves from your yard, and that will be the majority of the biomass we're dealing with. However, those are not limited. We can deal with wood, paper, plastics, used motor oil, and sewage sludge. As we are talking, there's three projects I'm mostly working on. The first one is the biomass to biocrude. So what we do is we collect the biomass, leaves, trees, and household waste, like a protein, fatty acid. We turn those into oil. The second project I'm working on is the biochar to activate carbon. Biochar is a byproduct in this hydrothermal liquefaction. It is separate from the biocrude oil. This material is like coal. However, it is to unlock the potential value, we activate this biochar and we make those biochar into a filter material, absorption material for heavy metal removal, for soil and amendment. And the third project I'm working on is keep working on project 1 and project 2. The first reason is we have to keep our company competitive and keep the technology innovative. The technology are evolving every day, so it is important to keep the technology up to date and stay on the first in the market. And also the other important reason is we have to do a product development and utilization. During the working, we are discovering this different customers, and we have to design our product upon their request. So key wins about how I become an engineer is to share a desire to know, to understand, and to create. Because when I look at the problem is to look at why it's causing it, how we're going to solve it. And the second is ask the questions that shake the foundation of the knowledge. and to rebuild them with new answers. Okay, and going forward, let's talk to the future. So to work on the renewable industry, we have to keep ourselves improved, keep the knowledge up to date. Things that can be improved today is keep study and learn, read different journals, read different papers, and second is set up goals. Think if you're interested in something and you're willing to learn, at least you find out, okay, what's behind it, what is the mechanism under everything. And the third is manage your time. To study, to talk to different people, grab a coffee with your teacher, grab a coffee with your friends, talks about what you're interested, are you willing to contribute your life to renewable sectors? And the third is to keep informed, which is, I think is important because a lot of technology are very, really fashion, and it could attract your eyes, and you want to keep working on there in your undergrad study, in your master's study, even go to your PhD study. And for the impact, one of the key thing I want to say is the renewable sector will bring a huge impact to the market, but to work as an individual is the most important thing is to join the technical conference and seminars, to talk to different people exposed to the up-to-date technologies. And the second is volunteer in different professional associations. That could help you talk to them, a lot of professionals, and they have more experience. They can give you a lot of guide for sure. A third is to find a summer job or internship related to the renewable sector that could help you understand more, set up a working schematics, and could help you guide your future. Okay, the result is the possibility of getting to the renewable sector is, I think you have a high chance because the renewable sector is growing. Do your part and work harder. That would help you in the future. So, in conclusion, I think renewable sector is challenging, but is very interesting. If you are interested in joining this sector, go exposed to this technologies and interest yourself. And I hope we will see you in the near future. Any questions? All right.
Next up, we have Reid Patterson. So Reid's path into engineering stemmed equally from a love of science and technology and a passion for the environment. We as humans cannot just turn off the lights and heat. So in his mind, it was necessary to learn how to do so efficiently, sustainably, and equitably for all. Reid's career is young, yet he has still worked in several different environments. A consulting company, the Saskatchewan Research Council, and now a startup. Each culture is wildly different and offers different pros and cons. Prior to this startup, he found himself on projects that often had oil companies as their clients. While these projects were very fascinating, it was not the sector he desired. However, as a young graduate, you're not often in the position to be super choosy with job offers. Get in, get experience, and try your best to be on projects that interest you. What you learn on the job will almost certainly be applicable to wherever you go from there. Presently, he's balancing a job in the recycling industries and pursuing graduate education in solar energy engineering. Reid enjoys getting to work and learn in areas he feels passionate about. You can always make more money somewhere else. The grass is always greener, but there is a balance to be struck between compensation and feelings of fulfillment. The learning curves do not end once you graduate, so the most important thing you need to be learning right now is the skills of learning itself. There are no pointless classes or hobbies. Anything that gets you thinking in a different way is of value. So please welcome Reid.
Okay, hi, my name is Reid Patterson, and I'm an employee with Prairie Robotics. Prairie Robotics is a startup in the recycling industry. I'm a software developer there, and the purpose of our company is, or our central belief, is that people want to recycle properly. And the fact that we are not recycling properly, it's not a malicious thing, it's an education issue. So for us, we are auditing what enters the recycling stream. We're searching for contaminants, and then we're identifying those contaminants as well as which house they came from, and then we can target, educate people on proper practices, because recycling contamination is a huge issue and it destroys a lot of potential recycling. It all ends up going to the landfill. So I've been there for about 6 months now, and it's been really great. It's nice to be in a company where the purpose is something that's green, something that's sustainable, and so it's something that I can go to work every day believing in, and that's excellent. I'm also currently doing some graduate studies in solar energy engineering, and that's the kind of final goal for my career. I think I'm originally a mechanical engineer, and so energy and energy transition, particularly in Saskatchewan, are some issues and goals that I'm really passionate about. So anyways, where I find myself now between those two things, I'm really enjoying, and I'll give a bit of information on how I arrived here. When I graduated from high school, I had no idea what I wanted to do. So I went to university, I went into arts and science, and I just started taking courses that interested me. I took astronomy, geology, philosophy, religious studies, all kinds of things. And I found a lot of things I was super interested in, and I found a lot of things that I was not super keen on. And a lot of people think that finding a course or a career area that you're not passionate on represents a waste of time. But I think that it's equally beneficial to learn what you don't like as it is to learn what you do like. Anyways, after a few years of arts and science, I kind of realized that a technical field was what was for me. So I enrolled in engineering. And I went over there, but because I'd spent some time in arts and science, I already had a bunch of prerequisites taken, and so I wanted to make my arts and science time count for something, so I decided to fill in that blank engineering time with some more arts and science courses and complete a degree. I completed a math degree, and at the time, I was just kind of doing it because it felt appropriate. I had this sunk cost mentality of like, I have spent this time in arts. I don't want it to count for nothing, even though looking back, just having that education, even if you don't get a paper from it, it's counting for something, because you're learning to think in different ways, and learning to learn is a huge portion of it. But anyways, I did this math degree, and I wasn't sure what it would be useful at the time. I couldn't see the future, but now looking back, that has been a huge thing for me. It's been a bit of a differentiator. It's allowing me to work in software, even though I don't have a background in software. And so sometimes you don't know exactly what's going to be beneficial, and you can't really chart out your career path, but oftentimes you will eventually arrive somewhere that you enjoy being. And it doesn't happen quickly. It's not like I got my job immediately. I spent a lot of time working for landscaping companies after school, I spent some time doing construction, and you definitely start to have the self-talk of like, oh, I must not be a good candidate. What's wrong with me? Why won't these companies take me? And I would just say, like, in those moments, you have to be patient, keep applying for what you want, and eventually you will get a job, and you should take it. You should gain experience, and while you're gaining experience, you can continue to apply for other places that you might prefer better. So your career is no set path. You can't see it unfold. Just be patient and go after what you're interested in. I also, though, have an issue with not saying no to anything. So this math degree has been useful for me. I also did something called the Engineering Entrepreneurship option, which is a set of business courses, thinking that this would also be valuable. I can't say that they're not, I just haven't used them yet. And I paid a heavy price for doing that because there's a lot of courses, and I spent some time in university just really working super hard and grinding away, definitely at the cost of my own well-being and quality of life and enjoyment. And I don't recommend that for people. I recommend people to understand a work-life balance early. And it's difficult to give advice on because I think that university is one of the times when you'll work hardest. If you're working for a startup, you'll work very hard, and there certainly is a grind aspect to it. But don't fall into the trap of glorifying that grind aspect. Enjoy both aspects, work and life. I think most important, as I mentioned, I'm in this software role. I'm loving what we're doing. I'm working in an area that I'm passionate about, something in the circular economy, and what's made that possible for me is certainly going to school and learning specifics is important, but even more so in your career is just learning how to learn, because the learning doesn't end when you graduate school. You're going to have to be independent. You're going to have to be able to pick things up in your new work environment, and getting a framework of understanding of yourself, of how you learn best, how you can learn most efficiently, and that's all going to benefit you. And that, to me, is really what university is about. Sure, you learn specifics, but it's more about proving that you are a capable learner and you're a capable adapter. You work well under pressure, you can get your work done, and you're going to continue growing much more after you're done school. So I think when we had this conversation, one of the students asked what the best degree is to get in on a green career. And I think that mode of thinking definitely sets you up for disappointment. If you exit university and you get your dream job, that's awesome. I'm super happy for you, but I don't think it happens for many people. Oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes you have to be willing to get your hands dirty, go get some experience in a variety of fields, and just keep applying for what you want. And as far as a green career goes, there's no one job that's more green than the other if you're working for the company. So you can work in marketing and sales. Our company, for instance, still requires business people. We're selling to municipalities. your green technology doesn't do anything for the earth if it's not being implemented anywhere. So you can be a salesperson, you can be a product developer and engineer, you can come at it from any which way you want. And as long as you're at a company or working on a project or product that is for the betterment of the earth in the green sector, whatever that may be, you'll have an impact there. And so I wish everybody the best, and your career journey is long and it can be a lot of fun. So enjoy what you're learning, enjoy the job search, be patient, and just continue to learn and enjoy that. Thanks.
Next up, we have Mark Caplan. Mark has over 23 years of petroleum geology experience in international energy resource development. He has worked for companies ranging from large international exploration and development companies such as Total in Paris, France, and Shell Canada in Canada, to medium-sized Canadian companies Cenovus Energy and startup companies Athabasca Oil Corp and currently Prairie Lithium Corporation. Much of Mark's experience has been the exploration and development of oil sands resources in Alberta. Mark is currently overseeing land, regulatory, and resource development of lithium assets at Prairie Lithium. He has a passion for sedimentology, stratigraphy in ecology, geostatistical modeling, chemostratigraphy, and data science. He has a Master's of Science in Clistic Sedimentology from the University of Alberta and a PhD in Geochemistry, Carbonate Sedimentology from the University of British Columbia. Those are a bit of a tongue twister for me. He is a longtime volunteer for the Canadian Society of Petroleum Geologists and has held 3 board positions. Mark is also an adjunct professor in the Department of Earth and Atmospheric Sciences at the University of Alberta. Mark is practicing professional geologist in the provinces of Alberta and Saskatchewan. So please welcome Mark.
Hello, hi. My name is Mark Caplan, and I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about me, my background, about Prairie Lithium, and how I got to where I am now. So a little bit about my background, first of all. I studied in London. That's the star is supposed to be in London, and actually started working in Swansea on my undergraduate degree. I kind of knew from an early age that I wanted to become a geologist, and so from 5 or 6 years of age, I knew that. Now, not everyone is as lucky as I am, including my daughters, who constantly asked me, "Dad, how come you found your calling at such a young age?" And I don't have an answer except for the fact that it was something that I knew I enjoyed, and I knew that I wanted to spend lots of time doing this. So that's what I did. So I got my undergraduate degree in Swansea in South Wales, and then I moved over to Canada and got a master's in geology from the University of Alberta, and then a PhD from UBC on studying paleoclimatology throughout geological time and the conditions controlling that change in paleoclimatology. So very, very interesting. I then was successful in finding a job in 1997, and so moved all the way back to, in fact, that should be Paris, and I worked for a company called Total. And I worked there for 5 years, commuting from Dijon, in fact, in the southeast part of France, and commuted daily to Paris. and had a lot of fun discovering France, discovering the Alps, because we did field work in the Alps as well, and in the southwestern part of France. So really kind of understanding the geology of France and working with some very cool individuals. And then I moved back to Canada in 2002 and worked for Shell here in Calgary, and then a smaller company called Athabasca, and then Synovus. So a number of different companies, and then they were all involved in oil sands. And then I decided to move to Prairie Lithium, which is where I am now. And Prairie Lithium is basically a lithium brine producing company that's based out of Saskatchewan. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So what does a geologist do? Plenty of things, in fact. We can explore for oil and gas, of course, and then renewables such as helium, hydrogen, CO2 storage, and lithium, and other elements as well. We can be involved in geotechnical studies. So, for example, looking at sites for the location of dams and other large construction projects. It could also be slope stability. It could be dredging rivers as well in order to allow nautical traffic to pass by. And the same thing for harbors, things like that. We can be involved in mining as well, so looking for precious metals, building materials. The search for water resources, which is extremely important in most parts of the world. It's a very precious resource, and we don't wish to squander it away, and we have to be able to produce it in a sustainable fashion. In the world, it's very important to be able to predict earthquakes and volcanoes. And so some geologists are hired in order to do this. Some geologists really enjoy studying ancient life forms, and they become paleontologists. And in particular, they could study dinosaurs and work as curators in museums. Some geologists move on to academia. And in academia, you're really trying to understand more about that subject. And in this case, more about how we can be more sustainable with our resource and the extraction of our resources, and how we can be more environmentally friendly. We also are able to present at conferences, and we do a lot of volunteering. I do a lot of volunteering with a geological organization, helping to disseminate knowledge of geoscience to young professionals, both in Calgary and across Canada. So the life of a geologist, we can work in many locations. So it does involve global travel. In fact, my office, I always discuss this with my children. My office is wherever we go in the world, in the mountains, for example. That's where I can be studying. And I have studied in the mountains before, so it's fascinating. One can work on offshore rigs or onshore platforms as well. And as I mentioned, you could be working in the mountains. And then, of course, you're working in offices as well. And again, one of the very interesting things about working in the geological sciences is that you work with many different nationalities around the world. And I'm just mentioning a few here that I've worked for and with in the past. But it just really helps you to grow as a person and to become just a far more understanding of different nationalities, and also accepting of different people and the way they think. And so you really get to understand the mindset of various nationalities. Very interesting. So my office sometimes is in the field, where I can be studying the rocks. As you can see, I'm belaying here down a very steep cliff, looking at the rocks. There I am again, holding on for dear life. and you can be transported to these locations which are very remote by helicopter. And in some cases, I've been studying the Gironde estuary as well as an analog for ancient deposits that we've been studying as well. So you get to work in many parts of the world, which is very, very interesting. Career transition. We're talking about green energy today, really, in the STEM activities here. And so, how did I get into the lithium industry? How did I move out of oil and gas into the lithium industry, and how easy was it? Well, as I was mentioning before, I was always interested in trying to move into the transition energies, and it's been a growing sector for the last couple of years, and there are jobs if you are looking for them in the green energy transition industries. If you're starting off with a little bit of experience from the mining side or from the geoscience side or from the oil or petroleum side, a lot of those techniques and skill sets are transferable and shareable with the transition industry as well. And so it's not as difficult to pivot if you wish to pivot early on in your career or later on in your career, as I have done. It is possible to do that. In terms of Prairie Lithium and what we do is in this cartoon, this highlights the location of lithium-rich brine. So that's salty waters that are have elevated levels of lithium in them, and the lithium is then brought to surface in a production well, which could have been a former oil-producing well that's been converted now to perhaps a lithium-producing well. Comes up to the surface, and then that brine is separated in one of our small surface facilities. And we extract the lithium from the brine, and we sell the lithium. And the brine then goes back down into a deeper subsurface interval. So whatever we have produced from the reservoir gets re-injected into a deeper formation. Nothing stays on the surface, so the impact to the environment is negligible. We also have very small surface footprint as well, which is important, and we don't use fresh water in our activities. So it's very important. The lithium itself is then sold or to other companies that develop batteries for electric vehicles and other forms of transport that require lithium batteries. And as we all know, it's becoming more and more important these days to essentially control the environment and the amount of carbon that's emitted into the environment and the atmosphere. And so EVs are one way to try and mitigate or reduce that carbon imprint. And so that's what we're trying to do, is to help provide the lithium source from a sustainable and environmentally sound manner within the province of Saskatchewan, and provide that product to the EV battery manufacturers going forward. A little bit, if I may, provide you with a little bit of life advice for you, some tips and tricks. And that would be, for example, select a career that you feel is meaningful to you. And what I mean by that is you're going to be spending many hours a day and many years working in this particular career. So make sure that it's something that you really want to do, that it's going to keep you motivated, keep you happy, keep you contented. And that's why I chose the geoscience career. It's because I just love that. Also, it's easier to say than to do, of course, but it is okay to fail. And what I mean by that is when you take on a job and you're asked to do something, and you try and do it independently by yourself, you're trying to solve a problem. Sometimes it may not work out the first time. You may not find that solution, or you might find a solution that really doesn't work for the supervisor, for the company. That's okay. Fail fast, move on, and try and solve that problem. And if need be, bring people in and have dialogue with them. But my advice would be, don't worry about failing. It is normal practice in life. And along with that is be brave and never give up. Try and try again. Be independent. What I mean by that is go away and try and solve the problem yourself before you go to your supervisor. Okay? If you come up with a potential solution to that problem and you present it to the supervisor, I think it will provide a lot of advantages to you. Don't be afraid to be creative when you're trying to find a solution to a problem. Think outside the box if you need to. And that's what we do with these renewable industries, is we've been thinking outside the box. Know your personal value and sell it. What is it that is unique to you that you can sell to a company in order to get a job? So know something about yourself, know your strengths, and be humble enough to know your weaknesses as well, and work on them and improve them. It's also very important to have a solid work-life balance. Again, that's easier said than done. Sometimes it may take years and years before you attain that work-life balance. One of the things that I think is important going forward, especially moving into the sciences and engineering stream, is coding, data analytics is going to be very, very important in order to continue learning. So learn coding, improve your skill sets, continually improve them. And then lastly, as I mentioned before, is just enjoy yourself, enjoy your work, and enjoy life. And that's it. Thank you very much. And I hope that was been somewhat informative and helpful to you. And I wish you all the best in your continued career developments. Thank you.
So I want to thank our panelists once again for joining us today and sharing their stories with us. It's great to hear about their educational and work experiences, as well as great to learn about these innovative companies that are operating in our province in green technology. I want to thank our partner school divisions, Greater Saskatoon Catholic Schools, Saskatoon Public Schools, Prairie Spirit School Division, and the Saskatoon Tribal Council. As well, thank you to my colleagues who help make events like this happen. And thank you to everyone tuning in and participating in this career exploration event. We hope it was a beneficial time for you and you got to learn something from our speakers today. So I do want to encourage students to provide us with feedback. We love to hear from you. We want to know what you enjoyed and what we can do better in the future. So provide us with some feedback, whether you're watching this live or you're watching it as a recording. Please provide us with some feedback. And at the SIEC, we love to give out prizes. So provide some feedback and you could win a gift card. And if you watch this event today and you want to learn more about careers in STEAM, be sure to check out our website where we have some valuable resources available. We have some interviews with industry professionals. We have our post-secondary series, which talks with representatives from different programs in our province about the admissions requirements and also what a day in the life looks like as a student in one of their programs. And we also have our past panel events. So if you're interested in engineering or agriculture and bioresources, then check out our recorded panels from the past. And maybe you decided that green energy isn't an area of interest to you, or you're not interested in a career in STEAM, then be sure to check out our website where we have resources every month. We host events like this. We have virtual resources available for you to learn about careers in the different sectors that are listed on your screen. So our school year is wrapping up. That means that our live events are wrapping up as well. We do have live events coming up in April and May in the skilled trades as well as mental health and wellness, but you can always find our recorded events from our past months as well. And the best way to stay up to date is to follow us on our socials, so be sure to give us a follow, and we look forward to seeing you at our future events.